Hi everyone, it's Evelyn from Twin Flames 3344. I have a Divine Masculine Twin Flame read for you today. It is July 5th, 2019. The 5 is all about the Hierophant, which has very much been a theme of the week. Several days the Masculine was seeing himself as the Hierophant, and today the Hierophant comes up in the crowning position. So it's very much the energy of the day and of the week. The day adds up to 24/6, which is the Queen of Wands, and how that fits into this. She's also very much a player in the read today. And I was getting definitely the woman having to fit into the man's world, and how women have had to change over the years. Hot Lips Houlihan came up yesterday from MASH. So, the woman who has to act like a man, but still has to be, sexual, but it's become more of a masculine sexuality because she's had to live in a man's world. So that's some of the energy that's coming up today. But definitely a lot of other stuff came up as well. A lot of different things. Some of the stuff I still need to piece together before I put it out there, but definitely when I woke up this morning, I woke up at 8:37, which is like 38 and 37 back together, which is the Queen of Cups and the King of Cups. So that was a very positive energy. And then I was very sleepy and I closed my eyes again, woke up again at 8:55, literally in like the Statue of Liberty position, except for like with the hangman leg bent on one side. So it was really weird that I noticed that, and I drew the picture of how I was lying there. But I was getting other information about New York yesterday or the day before, so it's definitely pertinent here and it's coming up. The Statue of Liberty and New York. Also the statement, I love New York, came up from Spirit for me the other day in another read I was doing. And for me, I, the lowercase I, is the chakra system with the third eye. So I, and then the heart for love, of course. And then New York, for New York, N for me is symbol for Jesus. And the Y is the Y in the road, the co-creation, the perpetual co-creation. So there's definitely a call to the Statue of Liberty in reference to that. And there may be some other messages too, that once they piece together for me, I'll give you more information about that as well. So I went outside for my picks this morning just to feel the energies, to see if there was any activity going on. And it was very interesting. It was 9:39, 9:40, 9:41 when I took the pictures this morning. And my blueberries, I noticed the first time, they were ripening. There was actually some darker blue blueberries there. And it was mysteriously calm outside. It wasn't just calm. It was like you knew there was an underlying tone there, but it seemed very quiet. And across the street then I noticed high up in the trees, birds scuffling to prepare things, making the leaves and branches tussle. And then I saw a cardinal zip across the street from those woods to my neighbor's house to the right. But when I went to write cardinal, I wrote cardinal gnat. So gnat and annoying was coming up as well. So a cardinal sign may be annoying to someone, the way they just dart in and do what they want. And then as the cardinal flew across the street, literally soaring across the street is the way it felt. From the woods to 26, it was like a cardinal was chasing a robin. And it was like the cardinal was driving the robin crazy, okay? And for birds, the robins are very common. So it could be like the commoner or the reptilian, the karmic, whatever you want to call it. And the masculine may be annoying the crap out of them. And then a possible robin comes from that same place back and lands right in the middle of the street, followed by the cardinal who then went back to the woods. Another robin then went into the street, exposing themselves to get hit unnecessarily. So because someone's being driven to craziness, whether it's the karmic or the divine masculine, some may be putting themselves at risk unnecessarily. As I walked back in, I just noticed a flurry of activity going, but unnoticed. It's deceivingly calm and still. Then why did he come up? Oh, Thomas Kincade came up for me as soon as I was starting to read, putting the cards down. And it was kind of sad because there's a lot of stuff about gossip coming up right now. And I don't know anything personal about Thomas Kincade. I have his work, so I'm certainly familiar with him. And I remember the first time I saw his painting on the boardwalk, and it just, filled my heart with joy because of the colors that popped out. And it's kind of interesting because he went, the painting community has no respect for him because they call him, like a color by number painter. But he liked to refer to himself as the painter of light, according to the Wikipedia online stuff about him. But he couldn't take that title because apparently there was an English painter from the 1700s that was called that. So, but it made me very sad because, obviously, if all these people are appreciating his work, there's beauty there. Like, what does it matter what a snob says about it? This is my point. So more stuff came up about him because, as far as I knew when he passed away, all I had heard was that I heard that he had committed suicide, which wasn't even true according to Wikipedia, because of all the disrespect that he got from the art community. And I don't know if that may or may not be true. But when I looked up the information from Wikipedia, it was kind of sad, the description of his work. It was just very, kind of like describing it as very simple-minded, kind of a disrespectful description of him. But when I looked into what happened with his death, actually, he apparently died in his sleep of alcohol poisoning. And it was so strange because the girlfriend said that he died perfectly happy amongst all his work, all that kind of stuff, which may be so, but obviously someone who's drinking all the time and getting DUIs and things like that is not a happy person. Okay, so it was interesting. There was some, the wife, wanted a restraining order. They'd been separated for a year, but the girlfriend was of 18 months, so obviously he was seeing the girlfriend before they separated. And so there was a restraining order filed by the wife when he died to make sure no private information about the marriage that would humiliate or devastate her would come out. And it said just later, that was, he passed away April 6, 2012, so it was 2012. And they came to a private agreement by the end of the year, by 12/12, which was very interesting because that's right around the 12/21/12 gate. So, and he was a Capricorn, by the way. January 19th, 1958 was his birthday. Oh, that English artist was J.M.W. Turner, 1775 to 1851, who is considered the painter of light. So he came up and was definitely about the karmic triangle, right? So that's definitely coming up in the marriage card today and the Queen of Wands. I cut the Syrian Star Seed deck at 10:10 today, and that's when he'd come up. He was from Sacramento, which is interesting to me personally because I have a family member who has a lot of history there. But when I was shuffling the numerology, that was at 10:17 when the Thomas Kincade stuff was coming up. At 10:20, I was shuffling the numerology cards, and I realized as they popped out that I was shuffling them backward. So I was taking cards from the other end that I normally do, which doesn't matter. But it was just that it was backwards today, which is okay. It's about just trying things differently for a change. But the two cards fell over, and it was love and healing, and they were both blue. And then when I went to pull the cards, so that was the underlying energy. When I went to pull the cards that would come out, they were both green. So it was two blues and two greens. So very much about the heart and the throat chakras and love and perseverance of your natural tendencies. So love is 6 and healing is 66, and 66 is the Queen of Pentacles. So that was very interesting as well. So the underlying theme, the deep blue, the water, always love, underlying all things healing. And then the other one's green, perseverance, and nature, of course, having to do with the physical heart as well and health. Then at 10:24, and 24 is the Queen of Wands, I got the day the earth stood still. Which is very interesting because we just got blue and green cards, and the earth looks blue and green from far away. And remember that our perspective from the earth to the sky, to the moon and the sun and all the planets is very different than if you were standing on the moon looking back here at the earth and the sun, right? So then at 10:33, 33 is the Christ vibration. It's the Seven of Wands, standing up for yourself without reacting. Alone again naturally came up. And then at that time I was thinking about Kincade and feeling the loneliness of how he must have felt, being very undervalued and unappreciated, even though he had more money, you know, than anyone could ever want. It's, you know, money doesn't buy love. And now his wife had left him, you know, so you never know until you know. And so don't take the information from third parties. Always go directly to the source. Maybe if someone had reached out to him, they might have been able to help. However, what is meant to be is, and what will be will be. Que sera, Doris Day is coming up. Also, that's coming up for the Divine Masculine in general, the Alone Again naturally. And then at 10:38, which is 38, the Queen of Cups, I was getting it's all about the two. And as I was looking at the two of crystals in the Sirian Starseed deck there, you see it there on the left, it's very much about surrender. It's all about the two. And as I put my clarification cards down, it covered everything but the number 2 on that card. So it was very significant. And that was at 39. So at 38 to 39, which is the Queen of Cups and the Knight of Cups, the 2 was showing. So it's very much about the 2, not the 3. So it's about, since the Queen of Wands was coming up with the marriage, it's definitely about the 3 coming down to the 2. So at 10:40, I noticed I'd written down times of 10:36, then 38, 39, and 40, but 37 wasn't there, the space between. And I was looking at the Romance Angel cards, by the way, which is R.A., Ra, and he sees himself today as the Lovers, that he must have true love of self before new love. Okay, and the cards came out that way for the Romance Angels today. The underlying energies were free yourself and then worth waiting for on the bottom. But the cards that came out were true love and new love. But it's right next to his Lover's card about learning to love himself first, which literally leads to the connection, because you have to go within to connect to your twin. So in love with self brings the two together. What God has brought together, let no man put asunder. At 10:44, I was getting that the masculine was ending handouts. Everyone out. And Alone Again naturally came up again. And then I was getting Alone Again as AA, so Alcoholics Anonymous for somebody. Only luxury he sees is his sealed divine feminine naturally. Without affection, the Emperor reversed, feeling like he's in prison. And then I was seeing number sequence of 4, 3, 3, 2, 1, and then 3, 3, 2. And I was getting, why are we getting stuck on the 3, which is the third leg of the race, going to the 4, right? So we got to the 4, but now I'm being shown with the retrogrades, and this was now at 10:50 to 51, which is the 10 of Cups of the end of the family, going into the King of Swords, his true self. Backward from the 4th baton to revisit in the retrogrades, prior to moving on, he never even got to the number 4 with the karmic, and only reviewing back to 2 there, a clear difference between the two. So in going back and reviewing the masculine, seeing the difference between the karmic and the divine feminine, which was very interesting. So as I turn the page, and then we can get into starting the read, the Divine Masculine read was finished at 10:49, and I was wondering whether I'm supposed to write down the 48 to the 49 today, but I was being told that no, that 48 is old news now, because 48 has been coming up a lot. It's the 8 of Cups. And Spirit was telling me, no, it's no longer in the read anymore. So now we're focusing on the, sorry about that, the 1049, which is that 9 of Cups, the getting your wish card, and that the walking away and going within stuff is old news. So I was also getting that for the number 32, the 6 of Wands, the journeyman, right? Needing to get attention and status. All that kind of stuff was coming up here as old news. So as I start the Divine Masculine read, the major arcana were the Chariot, Guidance, which is the Hierophant, Luna, which is the moon, and then the Lover's card, and that was it for the major arcanas. And I also got clear cut, like that those major arcana today were very clear cut, as opposed to sometimes not as clear. These were very absolute as far as what was important in this read. The Chariot, that bold movement forward, the guidance of tradition, commitments, marriage, contracts, religion, God, okay? And then Luna, of course, is the moon, and the Lovers. The Lovers, there is positive and negative energy for the Lovers. They're definitely reversed, which is definitely showing a breakup. But the masculine and seeing himself as the Lovers was coming up in more positive terms because the card was in that place alone. It doesn't really matter which way it was, because that means he's learning to love himself first. The numbers came up: 2 swords, 4 pentacles, 1 cup, which was 241. The court cards were the Queen of Cups, and after the read was the Knight of Pentacles, and that was it for the court cards: Queen of Cups and Knight of Pentacles. The numbers here were all about nature, along with the coding, and the numbers were 6, 2, and 8, as well as 4 and 12. But then the number 44 was very important. 33 came up, as well as 10, 10. 9, 10, begin again. The sequence 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is half a dozen. The 9, 10, begin again. 4, 5, 6, which is that sweet spot, is the middle of the road. 56 is the 2 of Swords, being in your knowing, in the Syrian Starseed deck, okay? And then 24 also came up again, which is the Queen of Wands. 34 also came up as the 8 of Wands again, and lesser so the 45, which is that 5 of Cups, which was reversed in this read, so letting go of the loss and regret. 410 possibly may be something as well. So about nature, in respect to the code and the message today, and by the way, I went outside last night and saw a triangle in the sky. I didn't know which stars or planets it might be. It might have been the summer triangle. I know that Saturn and Jupiter are really noticeable in the sky right now, as well as Mercury and Mars. But I'm thinking it probably was the summer triangle. It was very clear to me. And then I was getting a lot about the Bermuda Triangle today, as well as the Florida Keys and the Statue of Liberty. Okay, so there's an important connection there. For any of you who like to look into that kind of stuff. Also the number 332, right? So we're going back to, backwards to rewind a little bit. But don't forget about the 1 and the 4, right? Do you need to go back all the way to the 1? Because then it will take you longer to get back to the 4. Or do we just stay in the middle and just go back a little bit? So the message here, all about nature, was coming up: tact of the heart, the foe or false, wisdom or queen, clearing, sharing or crediting to, the Chariot, God, Emperor of Christ, and nature or Mother Nature. The earth, heartbeat of compassion, the moon, foe or false wisdom, sharing credit, the 2, in the ascension of the Emperor of Christ, or in other words, God, to Mother Nature, his mom, looking up to his mom. So that was the message coming up, but also God expanding his Christ by looking through or up, looking through the Sophia and up to his mom. So then there's some stuff that I need to work on still in reference to what that all means. The relationship between the sun and the moon, because there's all sorts of opinions out there about what it is. Obviously, everyone sees the masculine and feminine energies and all of those, but what do they actually mean in relation to each other and to us? One thing I was definitely getting in reference to this message was the looking glass was coming up here, but I was also getting that we're missing in the triangle the 4th leg of the race. And so the central sun was coming in as very important here because it's hidden. We don't normally see it. It's the space between the words. That the central sun wouldn't expose itself because, right, it's source. It would never burn anyone to a crisp because it's balanced already. It just is. So the central sun was coming up as hiding behind the scenes. It's kind of like Scorpio and Aries, where, you know, Aries are the first one out on the front lines getting killed, whereas Scorpio is the guy behind them telling them what to do. But they're both out there in the war. Well, it's kind of like that relationship between the central sun and the sun, that the sun is kind of a block for the central sun, right? That the sun is a filter of God, source, the central sun, in the masculine energy toward earth. And that's where I was getting the looking glass right there. The mother, of course, births, and the moon can never live up to the earth because the earth is the mother. You see? So it's the karmic trying to live up to the mother. The moon is the feminine outside of himself, like the mother, the false reflection of him and his mother. The Christ consciousness, or the starseed collective, is the divine feminine inside, like your inside mother-father combo, your connection to source. The strong silent type, which is positive. The womb, the warm place to cuddle inside, as opposed to outside yourself. So it's kind of like the sun is the false light of the central sun, just like the moon is the false light of the earth. There had to be a parallel for masculine and feminine, as within, so without, and as above, so below, etc. So the triangle was coming up as well, because I saw the triangle in the sky, and was the summer triangle reflecting the Bermuda Triangle. And then in looking up the Bermuda Triangle, also noticed there's a Canadian triangle as well, considered the Canadian Bermuda Triangle. So I had to look into that stuff a little bit more. I did write a lot of stuff down, but I have to piece it together. But definitely it's talking about, we've been talking about the 3 to 4 all week, and it's also about finding that fourth piece, what was missing, because we always focus on the triangle, right? The Holy Trinity. But there's a fourth piece to the puzzle, right? And that one card that I always show you from the Journey of Love deck, the Journey of Love? No, from the Past Life deck of the Carpenter. It's kind of like the Eight of Pentacles, where he's working on a stool and he's always trying to put the fourth leg into it. So everything was coming together in reference to finding that missing piece. The space between the words, what's hiding. That source would never unnecessarily expose itself to harm. It is balanced, just as the earth. So I was getting from the triangle with the fourth leg, and the way I was positioned when I woke up this morning with the Statue of Liberty was coming out to like a step position, like one line up, one line over, and then one line up again, just like a step up. But that, if you connect the two open ends, are two triangles side by side, but then become a kite, the fourth point. So also the two-step was coming up as far as the kite, and a kite kind of referenced that H that I brought up at one time, where it's kind of an H on an angle with the line extending through on one side. And then when I got that, I was getting Neil Diamond and Diamond kneeling, and the Liberty and the Flame. So the Statue of Liberty, and then Florida was coming up as well, because Liberty and Flame are FL, and Florida had come up this past week, and those initials FL. So that was bringing me back to the Statue of Liberty and the Flame of Liberty. And also, I don't know how many, is it 117 keys or whatever it is in Florida, but for me, a while ago, I already gotten that Florida is a major key, because literally Florida is shaped like a key, and it has all the keys. And it's a point of the Bermuda Triangle, along with Bermuda and Puerto Rico. And I'd mentioned before, Cuba kind of being the square on that, the block between them, right? Between Puerto Rico and the Keys. Also, if you've never noticed this, because Bermuda is so much smaller than Cuba, but they are literally reflections of each other. But Bermuda is just a lot smaller. And also, I just learned, and I just happened to see this little video clip of the moon and looking in the night sky on space.com or whatever it was. It was a little demonstration on why the moon has dark spots, and it was showing how the dark spots are on the moon. And there was just two dots next to each other, the second one being the place where NASA touched down. And so when I looked at Bermuda, it looks like a lobster claw clasp that's open, and then at the wrist, it's like there's an open a hole there, like a link, but then there's a second one below it. So if you look at Cuba, there's 2 more islands right next to it, which have spaces between each one. So the Cuba shape is much more clear than Bermuda. It's more a muted lobster claw clasp, but the Cuba one is very clear there. And then what is it? The islands. Well, anyway, there's 2 islands there. I'm just blanking out on which ones. It's Puerto Rico and it'll come up. I wrote it down somewhere. It's one you know, but I just can't think of it right now. But anyway, there's 2 spaces between the islands, just like Bermuda and just like the moon. So it's showing us repeatedly over and over again that nature repeats itself everywhere. And then I was getting, don't forget the tip of Florida is also shaped like a penis, which is a key. The seeds of Puerto Rico and Bermuda. It's Alaska, the Alaska-Bermuda Triangle. And then the reflection between Cuba and Bermuda on a much smaller scale. The lobster claw clasp, which we talk about the lobster as the masculine all the time, but it also has a hole at the end or a ring at the wrist, like the moon and like the other islands, where NASA touched down on the moon. Oh, it's the Dominican Republic. So it goes Cuba, Dominican Republic, and then Puerto Rico. So there's a space between each, which represent the 2 spaces and those holes on the moon, or there's circles. Also, when looking at the Puerto Rico or San Juan touchdown point of the Bermuda Triangle, I was getting much more to the other end of the island. I actually stayed there for a business meeting once, and it's literally called El Conquistador, right? The conqueror, basically, the conquest, to the conquest of the impossible dream. So I was definitely getting that as the touchdown. That El Conquistador at the other end of the island is the touchdown spot for Puerto Rico. There's some other stuff I got too, but I guess I'll wait on that because I'm not really clear on it. It was kind of cool. I was trying to figure out mileage points between here in the United States and the Bermuda Triangle. And one of the cities I looked at was Paris, which is like a nothing town. But it's where Route 17 meets Route 50, which is the star and the 10 of cups. And there's a Sky Meadows there, and connected by Route 701. And Lavender Green is also there. It was pretty cool, actually. So I looked up a couple different things, but I'm going to wait on that since I'm not clear on what that all means. Also, taking the high road also is very much coming up again. That can reference just taking the high road, but also mountain elevations. And let's see, was there anything else? Also, I wanted to mention, because I didn't bring it up because it was in my own read the other day, George of the Jungle came up, which was kind of cracking me up. And then today, when I was looking up some of this stuff, the mansion of George Lee III came up. So that's what reminded me of that, because the Georges were coming up. And then George Washington, because Washington came up. So a lot of Georges. And then in me, I have 3 Georges in my family, because my grandfather, my uncle, and my cousin are all Georges. And let's see what else we're getting to. And Union towns. Union towns are everywhere. And Union streets, you guys know that, because we run into them all the time. It was interesting, because when I looked up one of the mileages to a certain spot, it was exactly 144. Okay. And then that spot that was 144 miles from, I was measuring from Washington, D.C., the address was 777. It was actually a ski resort, which was pretty cool. So getting into the read, we haven't even really started yet. We start there with the 4 of orbs. And I'm going to show you these cards over here because it's hard to see. We have, this is the 3 of flames, then the one next to it is the Ace of Cups, and then this is the 3 of crystals, or the 3 of pentacles, and then this is the 4 of orbs, or 4 of swords. So I know it's hard to see those cards there. I'll just push this forward just a little bit. Okay. So the Four of Orbs and thinking too much, the sun and the truth of letting it all go, exposing the truth, the sun is the truth, the light. But when, sorry, I'm not being able to talk. I guess that's the Mercury retrograde stuff. I'm Virgo, so it definitely affects me. Exposing the truth, the sun is the truth, the light. But when you can't see it, the answer, let go and let it come to you later. Presently loving work that you do, all that's important is loving co-creation. Awaken to frustration and stress before it happens. Walk away. Take the high road. Fire and beach and crystal caves. And Myrtle Beach was coming up. Actually, it's a place I visited with my family when I was young. And Bermuda as well. Fire, water, and crystal caves, because Bermuda definitely has those crystal caves. They're very cool. Where you can relax all day with no stress. Prisoner sealed divine feminine. Thoth came up here, overseeing her, looking at ski resorts to cool off after the 4th of July sun. Time to go back to one. Align with blocks, dark, frame, cul-de-sac, turn. The curved archway that goes up and then comes back down again. And this 3 to 4 was coming up. July 3 to 4 in general, the third leg of the race to the 4th. July 3rd to the 4th, which was also Wednesday to Thursday, which is the 3rd and 4th day of the week. So again, saying that we've spent a lot of time at the 3rd and 4th legs, and now they're telling us go back and start again, begin again. They said yesterday, and today again is saying go back to 1. Make sure you've reviewed all that you need to clear. As I turn the page, it's 146. 1 is the Magician, 46 the children in the garden, the 6 of Cups, which is actually the last clarification card of this read. Upright. The intellectual process is stressful, guys. Allow yourself to receive and let go when things are no longer fun anymore. We're not supposed to spend all this time thinking like we used to do. We're supposed to be spending time allowing the messages to come to us, to guide us to the answers. So it's not hard, it's fun. The Knight of Cups will offer love, will tell you what house he likes, and you as well. By the waterfalls, moving water, and easy to walk around, beauty, stop to see the sights. The centaurs, or the horse half man, the centaur's legs are weak after intimacy and old. A good retirement home. One place to create and another to escape to, when the Knight of Cups and the Page of Swords come together to co-create. Dreams of marriage, old-fashioned love, hiding sexual energy, or coming out about any issues and dropping the facade and letting go of the internal war and fears. The Divine Feminine worries she won't be enough for him sexually. After all, a man goes after what he wants, what he desires, and showed he didn't want the Divine Feminine. This brings up the movie, He's Just Not That Into You. The Divine Masculine looking at property, and Divine Feminine working on self-image, feeling he won't be attracted to you unless you treat him badly, when Divine Feminine just needs to treat herself well. Clean up to feel better, as within so without. Make amends with yourself. Be free to be messy at times and draw outside the lines. Don't worry about thinking. Divine Masculine will be anal. Don't worry about thinking that the Divine Masculine will be anal and will think you're a slob or insinuate that you're dirty. Stop apologizing for who you are, Divine Feminines. Don't worry, just be happy. Love is, and that goes for you, Masculines, as well. All the time, in every moment, no matter what or where you are. Don't worry, be happy. End the war within self, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Just be all that you are, let it all hang out, and then expand the parts that you like. Worth waiting for came up, and free yourself was beneath that. So, don't fence me in, free yourself. Allow yourself to be free. Most of the lack of the freedom we do to ourselves. Really has nothing to do with anyone outside of us. The Queen of Wands is maybe out showing her body and muscles, and that's representative of the karmic energy. Corseting and push-up bras to come together, but now separation as new love trumps second best. Twins come together, putting truth and armor aside for a moment, to make love not war, in the clouds above and the ground below, the heaven in their eyes, and footsie under the table. Don't worry about first times. It's always a warm-up exercise, leaving room for improvement, leaving something to be desired, more to look at, new now moments, cheek to cheek, butt to butt. You can win the race, but you can never beat us. 32 is old news, showing off and getting attention. Now the real use, authentic affection. Out with the old and in with the news. Healing, like I told you, is number 66, and love beneath it, number 6. Love is always there to support healing, and the 66 is the Queen of Pentacles. And that was at 2:14 to 15, and 2:14, of course, is Valentine's Day. 2:15, which at Valentine's Day is maybe a little risky business that evening, right? So then butterfly effect comes up, expansion and spreading your wings. And then I turn the page to that 2:15 of the High Priestess and the Devil, and show your natural beauty. Walking out of salon, or not salon, that could be for the feminines, but walking out of the saloon in the Old West with the goods, leaving a trail so they don't forget you. The two sides of the boy, the Page of Wands taking his vitamin C, and the cowboy wanting to taste the Holy Grail. And a good boy is skittish. God forbid she should see the skid marks as Romeo romances her, and the gas leaks from the fire inside, just mortified, God forbid, at work, starting wars about who did it. The good, the bad, and the ugly of it, both sides of the coin. And I want to remind you here that coin came up literally of form, C-O-I-N, of Kohan, C-O-H-A-N. And there's all different ways of spelling it, with K's as well. So coin is coming up here, both sides of the coin. It's a toss-up, so flip. But realize that coin, broken down, is C-O-I-N. Co-I. I is the chakra system and the third eye. N is Jesus, right? So co-pilots of I, Jesus. And what does Kohan break down to? Two Han Solo, two co-pilots. And then it was funny because I wrote it Politz. So it could be political stuff, but then I was getting, since Thoth is involved today, definitely sounds like a Polish joke. How many warriors does it take to take the high road? 3 to 1, taking the odd man out of the equation. Odd expands, even settles down. This is the two-step dance of co-creation. Can't sidestep, but it wrote down side seat. So you can't sidestep or sit out. If you change lanes before it's time, you'll cause a crash or an accident. And then I was getting a tickle in this inside of me on the left, so that was weird, and it wouldn't go away, so I was kind of cracking up at that time, and it was 2:22. So it's definitely all about the twos today and the one-on-one partnership. So if you have that crash or accident because you moved from your lane too soon, it will be messy to clean up, and sometimes shortcuts end up taking longer in the end because there's more issues. The Divine Masculine with conflict at work, too many cooks in the kitchen, messing up the books. Cowboys, horny devils, and Italian horns, ruby eyes, rubles, rupees, and red eyes up all night over this. The devil under pressure is a boiling point, hot mess, a lathe, a printing press, and clamping down. Stop the presses and reset. He's figured it out, the error, the missing piece, the space between. Shit happens, it is what it is. Spit it out, cry it out, shout if needed, but try to do that on your own as not to direct random negative energy at others. Think a little, but play a lot, and cry in between. All is worth waiting for, and underneath that was free yourself, don't fence me in, for first prize, because you are the best. Allow yourself to heal. And that's where the 66 and Queen of Pentacles comes up again with the Lovers of 6. Blue, away from the red. Right? So the cowboy energy comes up at the red, right? The root chakra energies. All safety and stability, all the reptilian energies. And then the blue, of course, is the throat chakra, more elevated. So blue away from the red, the fire and the ice. The deep blue seas cool the embers that get too hot. Speak when cool, ground when hot. Bring together in integrity the melting pot. The US of A, red, white, and blue, the space between, the monkey in the middle. Fiddler on the roof versus cat on the hot tin roof. One may be hot, but the other is cool. Merging them both makes you nobody's fool. Only your own, with heart open wide, ready to leap at any time. And that was at 243, and 2 is the High Priestess, and 43 is the Three of Cups coming together in joy. Okay, so they turn the page, it's 244, and this will go into the recently cards. I'm going to show you around the table first before I continue, so you get the whole read, and then I will continue and see what we see. So here we have the underlying energy of that Four of Orbs. In the recent past is the Two of Crystals, or Two of Pentacles. The foundation here is the Queen of Cups down there with the King of Swords clarifying. And then we go to the middle, which is the Ten of Orbs, or the Ten of Swords. And the challenge there is the Chariot. As we go up here, what's crowning is the Hierophant, which is called Guidance in this deck. And the other clarification, underlying energies and clarification cards as we go down the middle. Then we come over here to the Luna card is over here for what's to come, with all the clarification cards burying Luna, or the moon. The masculine seeing himself as the lovers, with there's your romance angel cards. Around the lovers is the Six of Crystals, or Six of Pentacles. And the blocks he needs to clear, there's the Four of Pentacles, which I see as the Bat Cave, the Divine Masculine's heart. And then we come to the end with the Five of Crystals, the abandonment issues. The Ten of Crystals, which was reversed energy here, so definitely abandonment from the family here. The Nine of Cups was upright, and the Knight of Pentacles was also upright there, ending the clarifications on that Six of Cups with a little bit of a side note here, okay? So those are all the cards, and I'll give you a different view. So let's see what we got here. Let you be able to see everything there, okay? All right, so recently at 244, 2 is the High Priestess and 44 is the Four of Cups, that mastering, grounding, and integrating. Yes, it's boredom. Yes, it's refusing new love or ignoring it. But it's really about grounding and integrating, period. It's not a place where you're supposed to act as the time to integrate what you've already acted upon. So the two crystals was there, the surrender, the why. It's about surrendering the why, the question, the why in the road. Just keep moving, whichever way the wind blows you, whichever way it resonates with you. The Knight of Pentacles and the Six of Wands, hand in hand, they can't go wrong. The foundation here is the Queen of Cups at home, not talking, while the King of Swords is up in his truth. Their seesaw dance. So it's kind of like, I'll show you, that's right here, where you see on the Queen of Cups there, the Queen of Swords on her is reversed, and that could just be her being quiet at home, not talking to the Divine Masculine, but you see as the Queen of Swords is down and not being completely in her truth, the King of Swords is now up, showing the seesaw game between them. Okay? So there's a small message, perhaps, or conversation, very worth waiting for. Centrally, the Ten of Orbs, how amazing it feels when you let the swords fall out of your back, right? Isn't that the pleasure when you release the pain? The Knight of Cups meets the Page of Cups and crash. Ten of Cups splatter all across the sky. Hands across the water, water, hands across the sky. Okay, so that came up. It was really positive energy, like crash, you know, and you explode together. You see the Page, or excuse me, yeah, the Page of Cups and the Knight of Cups together. They're both upright with the Ten of Cups, which is super positive energy. The Divine Feminine may look in the mirror and see the Divine Masculine right there behind her, saying, I've been searching for you, but you clammed up. So happy to see your pearly whites. The moon is nothing compared to you, an olive branch across twisted pillars, challenged by chariots of fire. 5 horses, stags, and stallions 5 different timelines, suspended animation, a moment in time, freeze frame. Now, students, let's look at this picture, and we're looking at the chariots of fire. The person is smiling. It could be a man or woman, comes bearing gifts and excited to get there. The Arabian Santa Claus, equipped with housing even, wide awake, taking one step at a time, patiently, injustice in falling short of energy needed or drive to come together at work, but with every intention to rush in, but tripped, fell, slipped, or just fell over and conked out to a deep, deep sleep. He woke up off the beaten path and now just trying to find his way home, like kung fu, so peaceful and natural. Vegetarian gas isn't half as bad. Still, some stuck in emotions, as the King of Pentacles, who has lots of responsibilities. A nightly grapevine, to your window, Rapunzel, to let your hair down. A little lingering jealousy and clinginess of injustice, imbalance of truth, however, healing and dreaming, looking for new tools to work with. Found at least one, really good one, a DNA strand, a thorn in my side, due to stepping sideways when he should have stepped back to allow the lady to be seen. Working on security and confidence at house, now crowning is guidance, God's counsel of 7, the sweet spot, 6 to 7, love and peace, just to the left, or the light of the middle, the high road. All queens were reversed, but the Empress was upright. The Emperor was reversed, and all kings were up except the King of Wands, who was reversed. But the King of Wands and the Queen of Pentacles, even though they're both reversed, were next to each other, confessing and holding their tongues, while the Queen of Wands reversed was freaking out. The 315, as I turn the page, is the 3 of the Empress and the 15 of the Devil. So the Hierophant is celebrating, or at least feeling joy, or 3 cups there to catch him when he falls. In need of practical support and spreading the word for it, but instead the group friends or co-workers are offering their love, but nothing more. Or hanging out with kids, students in the summer with nothing to do but talk and socialize and party, over the loss of a family ending and fighting, competition, and conflict. Taurus or priest or other religious leader or married person speaks of messages about 2 lovers, no more. Taurus upright, Cancer upright reversed, Gemini reversed, possibly Virgo reversed, Scorpio upright and reversed, Libra upright and reversed, a bit of Sagittarius reversed, Pisces upright, and Aquarius upright too. Or no affection from kids and him trying to light a match under their butts. Or insecurities, right elbow pain, because he's not expressing his feelings. Inflammation is in his DNA, or just a flame. The Divine Masculine may be plenty aroused, but feeling insecure and afraid to express. Maybe a little jealousy stuck in his feelings still, or afraid she'll go on without him if he doesn't drive. All pages were upright, and the Knight of Wands and Knight of Swords were reversed. Feeling alone at night, the Divine Masculine, still clingy but not expressing his need for attention. Excited by the Divine Feminine destiny, but feels the injustice of the sweetheart. The Karmic Aquarius Leo and or Pisces Sagittarius, insecure and weak in disconnect of the King of Cups. Could have lost a family member or longs for the past, childhood, or has a drinking or depression issue or problem. Soon is the moon, at night impatient with truth of the Queen of Wands reversed, impatient with the Divine Masculine, Sagittarius or Angel, and his awakening, defensive to the destiny. At work or place of creation, the Karmic's emotional happiness, she may be strategizing, making a plan to expand her own business as a reaction to being pissed and or exhausted. Tired of waiting for things to turn around, getting pissed, causing her to initiate for herself. And I'm sweating my butt off right now. There's a lot of masculine energy coming in here. Whew, so it's like the feminine, being in their masculine, like Hot Lips Houlihan. So Cancer comes up here, Sagittarius, Libra, as well as Pisces. Libra fending off energies or attacks and standing their ground, but both could lose their tempers with the fire energy around. Divine Masculine sees himself as the lovers. presently falling for the wounded warrior, devil, and or Capricorn, or just losing faith and getting defensive or guarded again, clinging to the old ball and chain, but presently losing money, legacy, or family for the true love, the new love that's listed in Romance Angels there. Worried about making a fool of himself in front of the karmic or the divine feminine. Capricorn upright, Gemini reversed, and Aries reversed came up in this section. Karmic manipulating his words. He's afraid that when he confronts the karmic, she'll just do same as usual and manipulate his words or twist them around, being controlling with aggressive or passive-aggressive tendencies. No love loss here, no affection, but learning to love himself first before the family. Could be worried that he's not getting family financial support, that he's not worth enough, or is he's just not enough, or the divine feminine or karmic's going to spend all of his money. It was 356 on this line, 3 being the Empress, and 56 being the Two of Swords, again, being in your knowing, or those who are pretending not to know. All right, so for the feminines, it's definitely being in your knowing, and then for the karmics, it may be pretending not to know, or being unaware, being a little ignorant, and should know, but they weren't using their intuition because, they chose that ignorance was bliss. So as I turn the page, around the divine masculine, or how he is seen, the Six of Pentacles, or Six of Crystals, sharing, balanced, happy on his own, or being arrogant. Seeing synchronicities of the divine feminine suddenly, or suddenly longing for affection, suddenly out of control. Both may be worried of the other knocking them off balance, losing control, and going back to prison again, purging between them and feeling overwhelmed. Here, Scorpio upright, Pisces upright, Gemini reversed, Aries reversed, and Taurus upright came. The masculine needs to clear blocks of the Four of Pentacles, the divine masculine's heart, the Batcave, letting go, letting others in, on a 5D quest for the gold, sharing with the Empress, and happiness co-creating. Nature comes up, and then even more so than nature was perseverance. Just don't give up. Surprise conversation, to master, ground, and integrate love, abandonment wound between them. The Queen of Wands reversed may blast both with the truth, knocking them for a loop. The Queen of Pentacles reversed and the King of Wands reversed, confessing or dropping all responsibilities and pissing her off. So these two don't have to be the masculine and the feminine. It can be the masculine and someone else, or it doesn't have to be the masculine. It could be, sister, brother, friend, people he works with. There's definitely family stuff coming up here. It could be, though, the masculine and the divine feminine, where, the karmic's yelling at them both, but it feels more like family issues here, where someone's being left out of the group. So the karmic is exposing the twins longing for each other, at home getting aroused by fighting due to new love. The Queen of Wands insecure at home, pissed and fighting with divine masculine and or kids, or has a passion for gardening or for the gardener and wants to work with him, or just losing their temper with kids running around and sports activities. Could be the divine masculine and karmic and a family member or friend having a fight between them all. Could be 4 to 5 people as well. The Knight of Swords reversed, the Queen of Pentacles reversed, the King of Wands reversed, and the Page of Cups and King of Cups both upright. That could be a family meeting with the father and siblings, and the Queen of Wands pissed they're not there, or the divine masculine left out, but it seemed more like the Queen of Wands was being left out. Definitely one person excluded from the group. Taurus, Cancer, Gemini in the loop. The King of Cups disconnecting from family or family business or losing money, happy to be alone on his own and propose something different. Break from Leo, Aquarius, Gemini, and less so could be Libra, Virgo. The Queen of Wands reversed, implementing a plan without option to clarify a decision. Dumping the Page of Wands, clinging to her, making all the decisions for him, or overwhelmed, purging all the money she spent, inspired to die or feels like she or he will die, waiting for the other to make a decision, draining all emotions before new life, or holding back money for repairs without telling the other, starting over in love and separation to join with twin, and or separated from kids to be reunited. Or the Queen of Wands reversed is tired of no options and made a decision for the divine masculine or a child without telling him, or spending money and using it as a tool to make herself feel better due to miscarriage or health issues of a child. Now stashing money under a guise of paying bills and not telling the other, or just spending indiscriminately, no longer bored in separation, having to deal with kids herself. As I turn the page, it's 4:30. 4 is the Emperor, and 30 is that 4 of Wands, of the home, the marriage, the union. The High Priest is sovereign, working, aligning, and over the loss of the Divine Masculine, running away from the call to action, making announcements. Maybe it's not his thing, or Divine Masculine just judging the Divine Feminine. The Divine Feminine may have come up here as taking the Page of Pentacles, or that opportunity, or being a student, and examining all the angles of weakness and ego death. Resting in the quiet after work for the masculine, and presently without love, messaging the Queen of Cups reversed, unresponsive to his news or call, or no affection, or broke up, sharing and offering help, surrendering now the worst is over, challenged by bold movement forward at night or by the full moon. So the full moon comes up on the 16th of July. That's the buck moon at 5:38 p.m. UTC is 21:38. To let go, to fix things in marriage, contract, or commitment to self and his own abandonment wounds, with dysfunctional family and arrogance, and workhorse or slave labor mentality. Resting, thinking, I just lost my voice, right where I said slave labor mentality. So there definitely could be issues in the family, like not paying them enough because they figure they owe it to them because they're family. Resting, thinking, surrendering to expand. The Queen of Cups reversed, over the worst of it, the end of the marriage, contract, commitment, tradition, establishment, religion, patriarchy, God, the challenge being ascension, moving on without affection of a lover at night, sharing his heart with only himself, disconnecting from family and family money if needed. Fine, I'll do it myself. I'll do just fine all by myself. Offering help to self, and ultimately that way to his twin. So the center of the read was all about ending the pain, and the 10 of Pentacles was reversed too, which is good. Whereas yesterday it was really negative in the endings and painful, today it was the opposite. So the 10 of Swords and the 10 of Pentacles were reversed, but the 10s of Cups and the 10 of Cups was upright, and the 10 of Wands was reversed, which is good. The 9 of Cups was also upright. So the challenge being here for the masculine, now that the worst is over with the pain and endings of whatever contracts or marriages that he got out of, now it's just the challenge of the movement forward. Okay, so that's really positive news. All right. So some really positive energy there. I don't want to take too much longer because we're already at 57 minutes, but I don't want to leave it at 57 since that's the 3 of Swords. I'm just going to... Oh, sorry. I'm just going to now pull again from the Rider-Waite deck. Let's see what comes up for you guys. This is a closing remarks. Take a deep breath and let it all out. Take a deep breath. Okay, the 5 of Swords card just fell out while I'm shuffling. So you just need to see that, right? That's the war within yourself. As within, so without. Wars are not created on this earth unless there is a war within self. We don't need to be at war within ourselves. We just need to accept ourselves the way we are, as well as others, and not be hung up on anything. Just let it all hang out, be you, and whoever resonates will come toward you. So someone who is your twin, who is exactly you, as soon as you allow yourself to be totally you, who do you think is going to come walking in? Right? They're going to come walking in when you're not dressed, your hair's not done, you haven't brushed your teeth, and then here we go. It's July 5th, 2019. For everyone watching, the best and highest good of all is concerned. What do we need to know? What do we need to learn? And I'm going to actually ask Thought because he came up today and he likes to come in. All right. So the first 2 cards that came out are the Emperor and the 6 of Cups reversed. Okay. So he may be, we're going through the retros, so the past may be returning to him, or he may be reviewing his past. I don't feel like it's anything negative. He's upright and in control. It's just like what the read said, that we'd be going back to review things, okay? Because we know, you know, the Mercury retrograde is upon us. We then have the Judgment card reversed. This is the challenge for the masculine, is not deliberating, right? Not wavering and actually making decisions when it gets to that wire in the road, and hearing the call to action, right? The wake-up call. It's also about not being, you know, it's reversed. It's about not being judgmental, but you need to make a judgment. When you're at the Y in the road, you need to choose one way or the other, and it doesn't really matter. Just go. Go with the flow, whatever resonates with you. It doesn't matter. You'll get redirected as soon as you need to. It's about getting stuck at the Y in the road. Then we have the Seven of Pentacles here, which is all about reaping your rewards, you know, but you're not at the end of the cycle. You're just comfortable now. You can't take off forever, but you may be taking a break or thinking how you want to invest your money, or how you want to go on, or if you're retiring, how you're going to budget yourself. Or it could be thinking about whether he feels worthy enough, right? Is what I am and what I have, is that enough for the Divine Feminine? Then we have the Two of Wands, right? Choosing the path, that's that Y in the road. So it's upright. And then we have the choice of walking away within, working on himself, doing what's best for him, which is perfect, right? And being in the present moment, okay? And the last card is that Ten of Swords, because it's about ending the pain, all right? He's not quite letting all the swords drop out of his back, but it is the end, because the middle of it was in the read reversed. It's just the masculine, as usual, vacillating about the pain, right? But it's over. It's 10. Perfect. Okay, the bottom of the deck is that Queen of Cups reversed, which did come up reversed in the read, which can just be someone being emotional and sad, purging, especially if it's coming up as the match to the masculine, as the Queen of Swords, Queen of Cups, Divine Feminine. It doesn't have to be, though. It could be somebody else. It could be someone who could, at worst, it's someone who's really manipulative. But it could just be someone who's out of sorts and being moody, right? Could be someone who has their period. As simple as that, okay? But also we're in Cancer, so that brings out the moodiness in us. I'm going to bring out the other cards below it just so you get an idea of the feeling there. The last three cards at the bottom of the deck were the Knight of Cups as well as the Queen of Pentacles reversed. So there's definitely a connection there, and that can relate to a lot of different scenarios. It can be the masculine, the karmic, and the Divine Feminine. It could be the masculine and his siblings. It can be the masculine at work, right? So all sorts of situations. It can be the masculine with 2 grown kids, right? Or vice versa. It could be sisters, friends, whatever it is, with a child, with an older child offering love. So it just depends on your situation, but it's definitely coming up as group situations. And all, you know, there was all the queens were reversed in this read. So the Cancer energies are making the women a bit moody here, it looks like. But out of the reversedness of the Queen of Cups and the Queen of Pentacles together here, sitting side by side, before that was an offer of love. So the offer is love is what turned them over. Maybe it could be a child offering love to the father in a split, pissing off the mother, mother's and her sister, and mother and a friend. Or it could be the Divine Masculine offering love to his Divine Feminine and making other women mad. It could just be other women who may have been interested in him, making them mad. Or it could be people at work. Maybe he's leaving work and they're upset. And that could just be them because they're going to miss them. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're, you know, bad or anything. It's just not the best energy. So I'm going to leave it at that. Make sure to drink your water and get your rest and find things that make you happy and joyous. It's all about loving yourself first. Rise and be loved, guys.